Right everyone, today we're going to be doing something a little different than usual. We're going to try and predict the remaining GL Palpatine requirements. Before we begin though, I would just like to say this is nothing official and is based on my own logic and speculation. I don't advise you rush to gear all of these characters in preparation for the event if you're unsure. I won't be personally, but I will be stockpiling common gear that some of these characters need in preparation. Please be sure to let me know in the comments if you enjoy these types of videos, and I'll be sure to make more of them in the future. So to get started, we already know the first 5, and honestly I'm not too upset with it so far. Palpatine and Vader are both amazing characters to relic. Admiral Piet is going to make that squad even stronger as well. His kit is absolutely amazing, and I think it's going to breathe new life into old and new teams alike. As for Krennic, he's been someone I've wanted to gear up for years, and depending on the team composition that GL Palp requires in Arena, Krennic could for sure be used as a decent lead for some remaining Empire characters in the future. The only cringe requirement for me so far is Royal Guard. He doesn't have much use in the game, but I'm hoping he gets a small rework, maybe when GL Palp releases, and he's useful to use in his squad. So this is where we're really going to get started in predicting what I believe very well could be the remaining requirements for the event. It'll be interesting to see how many of these I get right, but there are at least some who I'm very confident who are going to pop up in the next couple of weeks. These are what I'm going to refer as green requirements, and to sum up what this means is I would say I would be extremely shocked if these were not requirements for the event. So the first of these is Tarkin, the Grand Moff of the Empire and one of Palpatine's most trusted officers. We can't really say Palpatine had friends, so we have to think similar to the GL Kylo requirement of General Hux, and I feel Tarkin ticks this box more than anyone else. I mean, even Vader himself knew not to touch Tarkin. So I'm very confident he's going to pop up on the requirements, probably more than anyone else, especially given the fact he was also placed in direct command of the Death Star, the most powerful weapon in the Empire's arsenal. I'd also like to say that the one thing we do know is there's no error restriction on GL Palp. Even though this is his Rise of Skywalker incarnation, the fact that we already have original trilogy characters in the first set of requirements already proves to us that this can span from any and all errors, and most likely will. So for similar reasons to Tarkin, I also strongly feel that Thrawn is going to be on this list, given his unique relationship with Palpatine. Thrawn was another person Palpatine showed a degree of respect towards, although not on the level of Tarkin, and there were some tensions growing here during the last season of Rebels off screen. We do know for a fact that Thrawn was a major player in mapping the unknown regions where both Palpatine's spirit and the Imperial Remnant retreated to shortly after the Battle of Endor. The First Order and Starkiller Base were also located here. A lot of this was possible due to Thrawn's assistance in mapping the routes to the unknown regions, and having him pop up in the requirements makes a lot of sense due to the bridge he created between the two trilogies. So moving on to this next character, the Sith Trooper from Episode 9. Given this character is directly linked to Palpatine for Episode 9 alone, makes this one pretty much assured. We've already seen CG are not afraid to reuse required characters from other GLs, as we have seen with Palpatine, Jedi Ray and 3PO. I would be very surprised if this guy doesn't pop up on the requirements list sometime soon. So given we already have the requirement of Jedi training Rey for GL Luke, I think it's safe to assume that Kylo Ren Unmasked is a strong contender for one of the GL Palp requirements. It makes a lot of sense considering their interactions in the 9th movie, especially the first act of the movie. You could also argue that they've been in contact for years via the voices in Kylo's head and even through Snoke to a degree. This and Sith Trooper would be very nice for GL Kylo holders, or even for people going for him or Palp right now, as same character requirements for multiple events is always nice in a game where resources are so scarce. Outside of Vader, what is the first thing you think of when it comes to the Empire? That's right everyone, the Stormtrooper, the backbone of Palpatine's army and a very likely requirement to unlock the final version of the Emperor himself. I don't think there's too much else to say here. We know the original 2 GLs included generic troopers linked to their faction, and we all know CG's love of making us relic non-important characters, so I think this one is very likely. Up next is Darth Sidious. This would be a very low blow to us given his usefulness in the game is very niche if anything, but given both previous GLs incorporated all of their previous incarnations into the requirements, I think it's very safe to assume he's going to pop up on the list of characters we need to relic. GL Kylo required all Kylos, GL Rey required all Reys, and GL Palp is most certainly going to require all Palps, and given Emperor Palpatine is already on the list, this gives even more merit to this prediction. These next set of requirements I'm really hoping I'm wrong about, but in all honesty it's gotten CG written all over it. For the TIE Bomber, it's recently released so it would easily produce a panic farm and would for sure make people spend their hard-earned crystals to get the farm done in time. I predict they'll drop Piet's capital ship as a requirement for GL Palp at 5-star, which requires TIE Bomber to unlock along with Palpatine's Shuttle and Gauntlet Starfighter, which are 2 other ships not many people have maxed out. It just seems strange to me both Mon Mothma and Piet have been released and now 2 GLs announced. Both Piet and Mothma could easily serve as capital ship pilots for the respective GL events, which would seriously put a dent in a lot of people's farms and force us to spend, something CG probably knows too well, especially since they did the exact same thing with the first set of GLs, so watch out for this one especially, as this is my biggest fear relating to the new GL events. So now we're moving on to the yellow category. To sum up, these are characters I feel are likely to show up as requirements, but I'm not as confident or fearful as the green category, but still have a fairly decent chance of showing up in my opinion. So let's get started with Darth Maul. Given he was Palpatine's first apprentice, if they wanted to go down the all errors route, which they most certainly could with GL Palp, Maul would be a direct link back to his beginnings and a massive curveball for a lot of players who either don't have him unlocked or very poorly geared like myself. He does have some niche uses in the game, and he's another character I've been putting off gearing for some time, so I'm probably in the minority that wouldn't mind this too much. Plus the older characters don't need cryo up to gear 12, so the more the merrier of these type of characters. So for a similar reason to Maul, I could also see the possibility of Count Dooku being required, a key component in his second apprentice who helped him reach his goals during the Clone Wars. If they did decide to go more into other eras, he would for sure be a likely candidate for the list. I could also see Death Trooper being a requirement given the fact that they have Krennic added already, but the reason he's not a little higher up is because to my knowledge, Palpatine didn't have much interaction with Death Troopers. They were more elite troopers used by Krennic and Thrawn. Palp had his own royal guards, which is why I'm not as certain with him. It is however still fairly likely it could be a requirement regardless, especially if they don't go too far into the prequels with requirements. For what a Stormtrooper is for the ground forces of the Empire, TIE Fighter Pilot is for the fleet of the Empire. It's possible he could be added as a requirement for GL Palp in his character form. I wouldn't mind this personally, as again, he has his uses in the game and it would make sense for him to be on the list. So this final character I'd like to talk about is Jedi Knight Anakin, or Gas. Before I go any further, I seriously believe CG are going to add Jedi Knight Luke to GL Luke's requirements. The urgency of Jedi Knight Luke's release, combined with the fact that the event could easily be brought back a second time to coincide with the new GLs being released, seems a little too coincidental for my liking. The problem here is that creates a big requirement gap between GL Luke and GL Palp, so if they go down this route, I could see Gas being added as a requirement for GL Palp. Lore-wise, it makes sense. Anakin was always very close to Palpatine during the prequels, and we all know the events of Revenge of the Sith. If they don't do Jedi Knight Luke for GL Luke though, I don't think they will add Gas for GL Palp, but could very well add Jedi Knight Anakin to fill this role instead. I'd also like to bring attention to Crumb's comment. Now CG are very careful with their wording. Now in this post they confirmed GL Rey and GL Kylo would not be required. They did not say anything about Jedi Knight Luke, which they very well could have done. To me this is evidence that Jedi Knight Luke could very well be needed for GL Luke, which would mean they would need to add Gas to GL Palp to make the requirements similar. I'd also like to give an honourable mention to General Veers, who could very well be a requirement if they limit characters from the prequels. I feel there's more characters with links to Palp than him though, which is why he's not on my official list. So these are my thoughts everyone. Just to confirm, CG have stated each of the new GLs will each have 15 characters needed for unlock. We already know 5 of GL Palps and I've talked about an additional 12 today. The extra 2 are Fleet Capital Requirement and Gas, which are very harsh. But if I'm overthinking things, I'm fairly confident the remaining 10 have the best chance of being included. That being said, please don't take this as official news. This video is pure speculation on my part. What you choose to do with this is your own choice, but I recommend stockpiling common gear and waiting for the official announcements. I wish everyone the best of luck going for GL Palp, and I hope this video has helped everyone in preparing for what very well could be the requirements for the event. As always everyone, please remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, ring that notification bell, join my Discord server and share the video with your friends. Thanks for watching everyone, and I'll see you all very soon.